the 4th of March 2015, Luton. I'm talking with Mara today. Hello, Mara.
Hello, Conrad. How are you?
Good, thank you. And you?
Good, good. Really excited.
So am I. Mara, you were born and you lived all your life in Valencia, in Spain. When did you move to the UK?
I came to England in 2011. I think was the 23rd of August. And I decided to move to England because I needed like a change, basically. It was more like a difficult moment, and also I didn't have any jobs or anything, and the situation in Spain was like looking really difficult for me, because I studied psychology and there was no many jobs for my industry. I didn't know what to do. I was thinking, shall I go now, shall I not? And I think it was the best decision. Now, looking back, I think it's the best decision I've ever made. Yeah.
And was there any particular reason why you chose England?
When I was studying psychology, when I was at uni, I've always wanted to go and study abroad for like the whole year and learn English, because since I was little in my school, I had a teacher, my English teacher. He always said that English was really important for like the future, because English obviously it's spoken universally, and I've always liked the language and I've always wanted to be able to speak fluently.
Language, one thing when you mentioned about learning English, coming to England, but there is also this cultural factor. When moving to another country, and that's actually one thing I wanted to talk with you about. It's paying informal visits to your friends or family. What did you notice in England when you moved over here? Is it any different to Valencia?
A huge difference between Valencia and the English culture when it comes to making plans with your friends. It's really, I used to find it more difficult at the start, because maybe now I'm used to it after nearly 5 years here. But at the start it was quite difficult, because everyone seems to be like having to get these appointments. I find it like really formal, the way the English people wants to get together. They have to book the date like 2 months in advance, sometimes 1-2 months in advance. And obviously in Spain we are more relaxed about this, because we can just turn up and they will always be welcoming. And even if I just wanted to go to a friend of mine on a Sunday, which you would think in England, Sunday is like the day, family day or relaxing day or whatever, but in Spain any day is always a good time to go and visit, or ring somebody and say, I'm coming, and they, yes, please come in. I think after 5 years living here, I kind of find myself between the English and Spanish culture. Like sometimes when I'm being a bit selfish and I'm being like, I don't really fancy going out and I want to cancel at the last minute, I kind of use my excuse, I'm Spanish, I'm laid back and relaxed, and but when I'm sometimes when it's the other way and I'm like, I'm here and I just fancy seeing somebody, and I haven't said to them I'm coming to see you, and I would be offended, because obviously I'm using the Spanish culture to justify it.
So let's say if you came back to Valencia tomorrow, if you were flying back and you wanted to see your friends, would you now, having lived in the UK for several years, would you now text them and let them know, listen, Alejandro, I want to visit you in a week, blah blah, let me know if it's going to be fine? Would you check with them?
You know what, it's funny that you ask me this, because every time when I go back to Spain, I've got my agenda, my diary full of appointments with my Spanish friends, because I know they've got their lives and they've got things going on, and obviously if I'm going only for like 4 days or a week, I want to make sure that they've got time for me. So in this case, yes, I would say I will always make sure that, you know, I've got them in my diaries. I'm going to see my cousin on Monday and then my other friend on Tuesday. So it's always like very British when I go. In fact, they take the piss. They laugh at me sometimes. They say, you know, you've become too British. Come on, just turn up and, you know. But yeah, that's right. A little bit.
So could we put it down to formality and trying to be at their best in Britain? When someone is visiting the British, they would try to make an impression on the guest, and being formal in a way, not to get caught while being informal and wearing pajamas. Do you think this is the main reason?
Yeah, I think, to be honest, I think you're right, because I think the British people, and I don't want to offend anyone, but what I think is that British people, they are not as casual and they don't improvise as much as Spanish people do. I think British people is more worried about the appearance, how are they going to come across, how are they going to look, and I've got a really, I hope my British friends forgive me for saying this, but I've noticed that my British friends, they will always come across as though there's nothing to be worried about, everything is perfect, and they always have this, nice image and everything. But sometimes, in life, we are all, human beings, and we've got feelings, and that's what I miss sometimes from the British people, that they are not as sensitive like Spanish people. Spanish people just, I think they speak their mind. They are not worried if they're gonna be judged or anything. If you go to a Spanish house and they are in pajamas, they will be more than happy to be with you. There's no problems. And this is funny because my husband is English, and the first time we got together, I remember going to his house, and we were watching this film, and this was the first time I went to his house. And the first thing I did when I got to his house, it was to put my pajamas on, and he will take the piss out of me from that day zero till now, because he could not believe that I was with my pajamas watching a film with him. So it was like really, like, he always takes the piss. Even at my wedding he mentioned it on his speech. It was really, really funny. And to be honest, I don't really find it offensive, because that's the way I am. I'm relaxed, and somehow we both have like this mixture in my house, British, Spanish. This makes our marriage colorful, and there's always something to be new, always something new to talk about.
Talking about relationship and love, how close is Catalonia to the Valencian heart?
It is, I would say, it is close, really close to some people, people from Valencia, and it isn't to other people. Some people in Valencia are really, they feel like they belong to the same, culture, like the Catalonian one. They feel like they are from there, like they've got same similarities in terms of the language, in terms of traditions. You find both perspectives from between Valencia and Catalonian.
And in general, in Valencia, what's the viewpoint of Catalonia trying to become an independent state?
Going back to like the Franco, era, when we had like a civil war in Spain, and the country was divided in two clear, parties. Like one was clearly supporting Franco and the other one wasn't. Since then, this has created like a division in terms of like the mentality that we find in Spain nowadays. There will be people like they pro independence. We want to have our own country, like people from Catalonia, but also people from Valencia that support this mentality in Catalonia. But there will be other people that will think, that this is not necessary because we all have to be the same nation and we all have to be going to the same direction. But again, it's like a division. It's like two sides of Valencia.
And would you know whether it's like half and half or it's majority?
Yes, that's interesting, because what I've always been told is that the majority is people that they don't want to, they don't share the opinion with the Catalonian wanting to be independent, but because they protest more, and they are a minority. For somebody that is not from Spain, it seems like they might be the majority.
In Catalonia, they say that their culture is totally different, unique to the rest of Spain.
Mm-hmm.
And do you think if they do not become an individual, separate state, do you think Catalonian culture will somehow dissolve into Spanish culture? Is there a risk that they will be gone?
Well, if they think they are unique, that wouldn't be a problem for them, because if they defend that they've got this unique culture, I don't see why they should disappear. You can still defend that, like every other autonomy communities in Spain do. There's no problem.
You said that in Valencia there is a fraction of people who support Catalonians' separatism. Do you think those people might become the ones who actually want now Valencia to become an independent state?
If this thing with Catalonia goes further and they manage and they achieve this independence, I don't see why not. I think Valencia people that think like them, I think they would be happy to follow the same path. So I think that would be an option, yeah.
And now from there we talked about the relationship between Valencia and Catalonia. Now I want to discuss relationships between friends. In Valencia, do you do your best to grow with your friends, or do you accept the fact that sometimes you grow out of friends?
Right. I'm really happy that you asked me this question, because this is being one of my biggest, I wouldn't say trauma because it's a big word, but I think it's been like a big deal over the years. And what happens in Spain is that you normally grow up with the friends that you've been going to school with, friends that you've been living together, friends that you belong to the same kind of clubs, say, I don't know, religious clubs or football clubs. So as you've been growing up, then obviously you had your group, and sometimes these groups might stay, together and will remain friends for a long time, but not necessarily there will be the type of friends that you would choose if you had the choice when you were a child. I was jumping between different groups until I found one, and I remained with them like till I could say now. But what I also found is that when I went to university and I started getting to know new people, I realized that there's more world, out of my hometown, and there's other people I find more identified with, and these people is actually people I choose to be friends with, and I always thought, I need to be accepted and I need to behave like they do. And one day I thought, no, this can't be right, and this happened when I decided to move to England. I obviously lost contact with them.
And what does the English culture tell you about friendships?
This is funny because Chris's group of friends, he's been going out with them and hanging out with them since he was very little, basically since he went to school, is the clear example of this, Spanish culture thing that I was talking about, that you go to school with the same people and you grow up with them and then you become friends. And what I've noticed is that Chris has a really good relationship with them.
You were talking about clubbing and going out, and I just got one question that always nags me. Whenever you meet someone new, the first question is, what's your name? And then what usually do you hear? What's the next question they ask you?
In Spain?
In England.
In England. To be honest, this is really, really interesting, because I always hear the same question, and it's, what do you do for a living? And I don't understand why this obsession for what do you do for a living, because it's like, oh, what do you do? And the first time somebody asked me this, and I thought, what do I do when? Now? I don't understand, And yeah, they have this weird or interesting thing about the knowing what do you do for a living, because it's like maybe something is part of the English mentality that they see themselves like moving from different jobs, and they see this as a really like natural thing, and that's funny, because in Spain you wouldn't see this as a normal thing, because if you have a job in Spain, well, now not really, because there's not many opportunities, but when there were more opportunities, the normal thing was to have one job and stick to it and stay as many years as you could, and that was the only way that you could work your way up and grow professionally. But in England, it seems really natural and normal that you move from different jobs, so you can achieve more things by doing this. So maybe that's why people say, oh, what do you do for a living?
So maybe in Spain, this job, this role that you have, translates into or maybe is somehow projected into your personality, and they would maybe ask you, so what are you in terms of career-wise? What are you? And here, what do you do?
Yeah.
Because it's more temporary.
Yes. In Spain, maybe they are, that's a good question. In Spain, my vocation is to become a nurse or a doctor or psychologist, and that's what everyone will always ask you, what are you? What is your profession? But funny enough, you will study something and you will probably end up not having a job because of the situation now. So really, it doesn't, nowadays I think it's becoming less important what you are, and it's more important what can you do with your studies to be able to manage and live your life, basically, because there's no opportunities. But in England, on the other hand, it's more about what do you do, because here I think they have learned this since many years ago, because I've for all the people that I've met and known since I'm in England, they always have this same opinion about, okay, I studied law and now I'm working in in a bank doing something different, or I did psychology and I'm working in a translations company, like is my case, basically. And this is something normal. That's why they say, oh, what do you do for a living? Because it's almost like this networking environment, like you're always trying to find new opportunities, and I think it's brilliant. I love it. I think in England I've achieved more things than I would ever imagined. I don't think I would have never achieved these things in Spain, because in Spain it's more like, okay, you are a doctor, you need to find a doctor job, and if you are applying for a job, they always ask for qualifications. You need to have this, and they don't really give up many opportunities for someone that comes from a different background, that can perfectly learn and it's capable enough to build up their own careers and everything. They haven't got that confidence in that sense.
So qualification above experience in
Yes,
Spain,
yes.
and here the other way around.
Yes.
more open and more experience orientated rather than looking into your CV papers and your diplomas.
Absolutely, yes, that's correct. Yeah.
And one last question. When I spoke to my best friend, I asked him, when you think about Valencia, what comes to your mind? And he said oranges. I didn't expect it, but since he mentioned that, I want to ask you about the oranges and how big a role do they play in Valencian culture.
Your friend is very clever because, in fact, the orange it really reflects the Valencian culture, because this is one of the main fruits that we grow. And in fact, my mum works in an orange factory since she was 14, and there are many factories in Valencia. We've got obviously the town centre and everything, but the town is surrounded by orange fields and many orange trees, and it's like a big tradition because lots of families, that's how they've made their money over the years. Basically, just families will learn their children how to look after the fields and how to develop these skills, because what is really popular is like the Mediterranean breakfast, where you can find your freshly squeezed orange juice in the morning, really tasty. There's nothing like natural orange. Your coffee.
Oranges with coffee. I mean, one after the other.
Yes, you would. What the Mediterranean breakfast would be your toast with Ida oil or grated tomato, and your orange juice if you want. Then you can have your coffee with milk that we call café con leche, and yes, you can have it in any order you want. But to be honest, my mum used to tell me, Mara, you need to drink your milk first and then the orange, because otherwise it's going to taste funny. Or the other way around, I can't remember now. But
Thank you very much, Mara.
Thank you, Conrad. It's been a pleasure.